The eastern part of these United States is crowded with cities. The Big Apple beckons businessmen to its thriving metropolis. Not far from there is the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, where freedom was born more than 200 years ago. Across the Delaware Water Gap are the Pocono Mountains. It was in these Poconos in what was a spinach field during the late 60s that a racetrack was born. A racetrack that was like no other facility anywhere. Its shape would not be the standard oval or even a tri-oval, but a triangle combining elements of both a road course and an oval.
Well, it happened back 12 years ago when Mr. David Montgomery of Mount Pocono and a group of his associates bought a spinach farm, and it was flat, and they're all racing car buffs, and I think it was just a coincidence that the two should happen at the same time. And the seed was sowed at that time, and it just has developed and evolved to this point.
We really wanted to create a track for the spectator, a track where competition among the drivers was the essence of the facility. With Pocono, with the 3 turns, we make the drivers absolutely crazy, and the spectators love it.
It's pretty wild. It's you get in there and you're running 195, 200 mile an hour, and it's pretty bumpy getting in, and your car and handling just right, it can upset you getting in, and
absolutely one groove, and it's a give and take corner. You have to go there, and if you've given up the bottom of the racetrack and somebody's got a position on you, you have to back out and try and tuck in behind him.
You're carrying a lot of speed through there, and all the drivers, I think to themselves, like, man, if I get a little loose through here, it's not a whole lot of bank to gather me back up. So, you know.
We're back at Pocono for a race that will keep you on the edge of your seat. The world's leader in motorsports coverage presents Speed World. Today, live from Pocono International Raceway in Pennsylvania, it's the Miller Genuine Draft 500. The weather has not been good the last couple of days here. We had fog and rain on Friday. It wasn't too bad yesterday. Today, great weather conditions as we get set to begin the second half of the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup season. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Pocono International Raceway, one of the most unique racetracks in all of the country. 3 long straightaways and 3 very distinct turns. This is a track that can give drivers headaches. Now, let's take a look at the quest for the Cup standings as we enter the second half of the season. Davey Allison remains on top. He's been there since the first race at Daytona. He's 46 points ahead of Bill Elliott, but Davey is the only driver in the top 5 who has never won a race here at Pocono. We mentioned how this track can give drivers headaches. Well, Davey Allison had a severe headache last week that put him in the hospital. Nothing caused by anything here at the racetrack, but he has overcome that to win the pole position. And for more on that, let's go to the pit area and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Bob, and hello, everyone. After dominating the first half of the 1992 season, Davies begins the second half with no concerns about the car or the track, but a little bit about your health. 2 days in the hospital, Davey. How are you?
Well, Jerry, right now I'm doing real good. I was a little bit ill earlier this week, but I feel healthy and strong, ready to take this Texaco Havoline Thunderbird the distance today.
Well, maybe Davey will pick up win number 1 at Pocono. You remember, he has given headaches to other competitors all year long, but a month ago, defending Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt came here in second spot in the points. But 2 DNFs in the last 3 starts have put him back in 5th, over 250 points behind. And it doesn't get better, folks. He qualified 29th today, and just moments ago, they found metal in the engine. They had to switch an engine in the Goodwrench Chevrolet, so it's getting uphill for Earnhardt. The one driver who had a good month here at Pocono in June is standing by with John Kernan.
Jerry, of course, we're talking about the driver who won the race last month here at Pocono, Alan Kulwicki, and with that win, he was able to vault from 5th to 3rd in the points, where he stands right now, 134 behind Davey Allison. Alan, you guys, no practice on Friday, just practice and qualifying yesterday. Have you been able to get a handle on the car so that you can pick up some momentum where you left off here last month?
Well, this is the same car we had here last time. It ran awful good for us. I think our engine's even better this time. The guys in the engine shop have done a great job, and so I'm pretty optimistic about things, really. The Hooters Ford Thunderbird's running good.
Alan Kulwicki optimistic about another good run today. He'll start from the 10th spot.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Coming into this race. Cars fire to life as we get set. A couple of years ago, a few drivers began experimenting with transmissions because of the unique shape of this racetrack. With more on that, Ned and Benny.
Well, a new era has dawned on stock car racing. We finally got to the point that we're shifting on oval track, Ned.
I never thought I'd see it happen. Neither did I. Well, they are shifting here at Pocono, the only oval track on the circuit where they shift gears. Coming off of turn 3, they'll shift into 4th gear, which is an overdrive position, and then going into turn 1, they'll shift back down into 3rd gear. Now, this allows them to run a lower rear-end ratio, which helps them to get off the turns much better.
That tunnel corner and turn 3, very critical. They've got RPMs up to get off those corners, and that's what the transmissions do. And while they're dialing back a road racer who's used to shifting, great qualifying run.
Well, they did have a good qualifying run, and I'm sure that this track has a lot of road racing characteristics. That helped him, and maybe the shifting helped him some too. Jack Roush, the car owner, that number 16, says we're coming loaded for bear in the second half of the season, and maybe they'll start right here at Pocono.
There's another guy who had a great qualifying run, Richard Petty, in his last run at Pocono International Raceway, qualified 7th, and then he can win today. He really can.
He can, but he's not shifting gears. He's going the old route.
Richard Petty with 2 wins here at Pocono, 1974 and in 1981. Cars are set to go 500 miles at Pocono International Raceway. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Subway, sandwiches and salads for today's healthy lifestyles. And by Valvoline, people who know use Valvoline. And by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. We'll introduce the starting lineup for you in just a moment when we come back for the Miller Genuine Draft 500.
The winningest battery in NASCAR isn't a special racing battery. It's exactly the same battery you can buy for your car at Sears. Sears Die Hard, the battery that performs 3 times better than industry standards. Die Hard, more power when you need it most. After all, who's gonna back you better than Sears?
The exciting Gillette Halfway Challenge contest is coming up in today's race. The driver leading at the halfway lap will win $10,000, and a fan at home will have a chance to win a beautiful Chevrolet Lumina Z34. If you've entered the contest for this race and your entry is selected and you're called at home, you must name the driver who won the Gillette Halfway Challenge $10,000 reward to win the Chevrolet Lumina. If you want to enter the contest at the Budweiser at the Glen August 9th, write to Gillette Halfway Challenge, Post Office Box 2246, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33731, 2246. You must be 18 years of age or older to enter. We must receive your entry by Saturday, August 8th to be eligible for the next Gillette Halfway Challenge at the Budweiser at the Glen. The cars begin to roll away, and now here is the Sears Die Hard starting lineup. On the pole at a speed of 162.022 miles an hour from Hueytown, Alabama, Davey Allison of the Texaco Haviland Ford number 28. Outside of the front row is Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia, driving the Tide Exxon Superflow Chevrolet, car number 5. Mark Martin starts 3rd. He's in the Valvoline car number 6. He's from Batesville, Arkansas. And Ernie Irvin will go in 4th position. He's from Modesto, California, drives the number 4 Kodak Films Chevrolet. Ken Strader will start 5th. He's from Fenton, Missouri, in the Kodiak Exxon Superflow Chevrolet, car number 25. Then comes Wally Dallenbach Jr. from Greensboro, North Carolina, in the Keystone Beer Ford, car number 16. 7th starting position goes to Richard Petty in the STP Pontiac, number 43. He's from Randall, North Carolina. Darrell Waltrip starts outside that row. He's from Franklin, Tennessee, and drives the number 17 Western Auto AC Exxon Chevrolet. Starting 9th is Morgan Shepherd in the Citgo Petroleum Ford. Alongside him will be Alan Kowicki from Greenfield, Wisconsin, in the Hooters Restaurant Ford number 7. Greg Sachs will start 11 in the Kellogg's Cornflakes Chevrolet, car number 41. Then Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Ford, car number 26. Kyle Petty in the Mellow Yellow unit in Pontiac goes from 13th position. Then Sterling Marlin in the Maxwell House Ford, car number 22. Derry Cope will start 15th in the Purolator Filter Chevrolet, car number 10. Alongside will be the winningest driver at this racetrack, Bill Elliott, in the Budweiser Amoco Ford, car number 11. Jimmy Hensley starts in 17th position in the Phillips 66 Trop-Arctic Ford, car number 66. And Dale Jarrett starts alongside in the Interstate Battery Chevrolet, car number 18. Number 2, Rusty Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac from St. Louis starts in 19th position. 20th is Dick Trickle in the Snickers Douglas Ford car number 8. As we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, 41 cars starting here this afternoon. The cars on the second of their warm-up laps heading into turn number 1.
Michael Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt back in the 15th row.
And they did a lot of work on Dale Earnhardt's car. We've already documented. Jerry Punch said that he changed engines this morning. He told me that they changed 4 springs, 4 shocks, and the sway bar. Said it didn't change the driver and the rear gearing. So he said, I don't know what's going to happen when we go into the first turn.
Terry Labonte had an engine problem during qualifying, had to take a provisional. There was only 1 session of qualifying here because of the rain we had on Friday. Here we are inside the number 6 car of Mark Martin, and we'll have the Ford telemetry. And Benny, we'll notice now in the RPM on the upper right how the RPMs compare with the Jimmy Hensley number 66 car. Mark Martin is shifting. Jimmy Hensley will not be shifting.
Well, Hensley didn't shift here the last time, and we are assuming, I think he's not going to shift this time.
Yeah, one of his crew members told me they did not plan to shift.
And our other in-car camera is riding with Bobby Hillen in the Team Ireland car. And you can have a good view of the 800 number there that you can call and subscribe to the Racing for Kids magazine. That's becoming very, very popular among the youngsters that are fans of NASCAR, Winston Cup competition, and in fact all forms of motorsports. Davey Allison and Ricky Rudd are leading the field down through the number 3 corner onto this long straightaway that measures 3,740 feet. Looking for the green flag that will start our race today. They get it, and the race is on.
Here comes Earnhardt already diving to the inside, and someone back there evidently didn't get a good start because they're about 60.
Well, it's a beautiful sign here at Pocono when they fan out going into turn 1. Most of the time they'll get down to single file, but they couldn't do it going through there 2 abreast this time.
But probably will get into single file formation before they reach the tunnel turn. Number 2, for which they are headed right now, with Davey Allison leading and the Hendrick teammates of Rudd and Schrader running 2nd and 3rd.
And Ernie Irvin's hung on the outside. He said in the corner, you can't go through that corner 2 abreast, but they made it that time.
A little bit of give and take there.
Riding with Mark Martin.
We see he's in 3rd gear. See, he's in 3rd gear. As he shifts into 4th there, that's a strange. Now back into 3rd already.
Yeah, that's strange. We didn't expect that.
Now he's going to shift into 4th gear as he goes down the front straight. But there it goes into 4th. 187, 189, 190, 193 miles per hour. Downshifts up into 3rd gear. And he will run 3rd gear back up through turns 2 and 3. Kenny Schrader got a great start, didn't he, Ned?
Yes, he did. His car was fast here in June.
Schrader has moved from 5th starting position to 3rd as Davey Allison leads Ricky Rudd and Schrader. 4th would be Mark Martin, and 5th Ernie Irvin. 6th is Richard Petty. Martin now right on the rear bumper of that Kodiak Chevy driven by Ken Schrader.
And here's why they need that transmission. Oh, look at all this 2 abreast coming off this flat corner.
That's Bill Elliott and Dick Trickle running side by side. Elliott with the outside line. Here comes Morgan Shepherd. There's Hut Strickland in 66, Jimmy Hensley, and Dale Earnhardt.
Richard Petty was looking inside of Ernie Irvin, wasn't he, Bob?
He's hanging right there with the leaders, just like he did at Daytona for the first few laps.
Would be very good.
And there is Dale Earnhardt as we look outside and back from the Jimmy Hensley car.
Bill Elliott started the 11th, fellas, and he has dropped back to 16th already.
Elliott with 4 victories at this racetrack. He and the late Tim Richmond tied for most wins at Pocono.
Bobby Hamilton, Country Time Oldsmobile, or is that a Chevrolet here this weekend, Ned? They've had both Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles.
They can show them as an Oldsmobile here this week.
Yeah, it is. I can see now.
Hensley is running in 24th position, and Earnhardt is 25th. They're Darrell Waltrip making it to abreast down the straightaway. Here's Terry Labonte, who started from the rear of the field, also on the inside, picking up some spots.
Terry picked up 8 or 10 spots already here.
Davey Allison still leading. Ricky Rudd second, Schrader third. The white car, 25, is Schrader. The 6th blue and white car is Mark Martin. He's the 4th place car currently. These fellas right now just trying to feel their cars out to make sure everything is okay. The first 10 or 15 laps.
Boy, it's been extremely difficult, I would guess, to set up a car for this track this weekend because they had no activity whatsoever on Friday because of weather. Limited time yesterday because of qualifying, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of drivers searching for that right combination here in the early going.
Well, they had about an hour and 15 minutes of practice yesterday afternoon, and they all wanted more. I talked to Gary Nelson, and every team was begging for more practice, more practice.
Mike Skinner is already out of the race. He was not able to get up to power at the end of the first lap. We understand he had a clutch problem. They changed the engine on that car this morning and apparently didn't get something right as far as the clutch was concerned. So he's out of the race.
There's the leader, Davey Allison, who has led since the drop of the green flag and has about a 7th or 8th car length advantage on Ricky Rudd. Running in second spot is 4 laps out of 200 have been completed here at Pocono in the Miller Genuine Draft 500. More live coverage in a moment.
A noble warrior advised, the art of protection springs from within. One must stay vigilant against one's unfragrant perspiration, lest one provoke a hostile response. Thus, a Norse ritual is Right Guard Sport Stick. An aromatic array of the freshest scents and maximum protection against disarming wetness. Confirming the wisdom, the best defense is not to offend. Right Guard Sport Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Mark and my relationship goes way past business. I'm sure in a previous life he and I were twin brothers. Race, the driver and crew chief communicate. The driver complains about the car or brags about the car. It's the crew chief's job on pit stops to make whatever fixes he can to help the driver's predicament. Everyone has about the same access to equipment and technology, but the people who rub on it the most and think the most of it and think about it the most will end up winning the race.
Not long ago at Subway headquarters, our founder, Fred, had a good idea. Why not take the best part of a chicken, that being the breast, cook it the best possible way, that being slow oven roasting, and serve it on the best bread around, that being Subway's fresh baked bread. The result, the new sliced roast chicken breast sandwich. A sandwich fit for a king. And since our chicken's 93% fat-free, it's fit for fit kings too.
For more information on the new sliced roast chicken breast sandwich, visit the Subway near you.
At Pocono International Raceway in the Miller Genuine Draft 500, look who has moved up to 5th position, Richard Petty. He passed Ernie Irvin a minute ago and now is receiving a challenge from Alan Kowicki for that 5th spot. But the king is feeling racy here in the early going.
Running very good. Kowicki, of course, is running good too. He gets a bite on the inside. He might take over the 5th position. Kowicki started 10th. Now moved up to 5th.
We can see that transmission. That's why Kowicki, who shifted, had a little bit more RPM, as Ned talked about, coming off that corner. He was able to drive up under Richard, who's not shifting.
So Kowicki now goes to 5th and Richard Petty 6th. There's Ernie Irvin in 7th position. And the Mark Martin challenge now begins to be mounted against Ken Schrader for the 3rd position. Schrader running 3rd and Mark Martin in 4th spot. Here's the in-car camera, actually the roof cam, and the telemetry with Mark Martin.
Mark tries to get inside the Schrader car, can't make it. Schrader told me he was going to shift here this weekend because he got beat last time because he didn't shift.
Now Irvin begins to challenge Richard Petty again. They come down the straightaway, and Ernie, who has the inside line. He and Richard side by side. Let's see who wins this race to turn number 1. Then we'll go to John Kernan. Ernie Irvin wins the race to turn number 1. He picks up the position on Richard Petty. Here's John Kernan.
You know, Bob, Richard says that if he doesn't run well anywhere else on the circuit, he's going to run well here at Pocono. That's certainly evident today. Robbie Loomis, the crew chief, told me this morning, he said, hey, we are fired up. We want to keep it burning. We want to make up for what happened back in Daytona a couple of weeks ago. And also one other note, Mike Cheek, the left side tire changer on the team, is in the hospital back in Greensboro. And Robbie Loomis and Richard and all the guys wanted me to say hello to him to let him know that they are thinking of him. And now for more on the King, let's go down pit road to Jerry Punch.
Just echoing that, John, Dale Inman and Robbie Loomis told me this morning they were so proud of the in-house engine program. It has come so far in a short amount of time. Bob Riffle, who's building the in-house motor, said they have got a tremendous horsepower plant for this race today. I think it's already being evidenced by the fact Richard has been able to make a move and stay up toward the front. They are very optimistic, as was the King, about his chances here today.
Richard Petty has fallen back to 7th position after moving up to 5th. Behind him, a good battle.
Sterling Marlin, Morgan Shepherd. Marlin in the number 22 Maxwell House Ford. Shepherd in the number 21 Citgo Ford. And there's Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Ford right behind them. 3 Fords battling.
Oh, almost 3 abreast going into the tunnel turn. That isn't going to work.
Sterling Marlin backed off and let Morgan Shepherd come back in. Because he knew that Morgan was hung up on the outside. He said, I'm going to give you a break.
I think he figures he's faster than Morgan right now, and he said, I'll get another shot at him. And we might have it here. He's going to try to get the nose up on the inside of the Citgo Ford, and he does it.
And Brett Bodine will fall in behind Sterling and try to get in his draft as they move down this long front straightaway. 3 abreast back of him. That's Wally Dallenbach Jr., Kyle Petty, and Greg Sachs. Right behind them is Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace. Wally Dallenbach Jr. losing some positions here after qualifying for the 6th spot.
These guys got him hung on the outside, Bob, and they're just not going to let him get back in.
Ooh, here they are, 3 abreast. Darrell coming down on the inside. Rusty trying to go down there, too. He backed off. Ooh, that could have been interesting.
That could have been interesting. Here's Jerry Punch with a comment on Wally Dallenbach Jr.
Bob, this morning they were guessing in the garage here, and they decided to go ahead and make a 4-spring change in that car, saying, I think the car might be a little too tight today. They're going to loosen it up. Wally told me we're either going to go forward or backward when the green flag drops. And apparently, they've made a decision. They're going backwards. They're going to have to make an adjustment on the pit stop to try to tighten the car up a little bit so we can get back to racing at full bore.
Unfortunately, I think they did go the wrong way because he's definitely losing positions. Our first Autoline field summary for you as you look for your favorite driver. This is how they were running the last time by the starting stripe. Since we arrived here at Pocono this morning, we have been just absolutely deluged with information on Mac McClellan. Those of you who watched Saturday Night Thunder last night know that Mac had a very incredible accident at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and his medical status was unclear when they left the air. We do have an update on Mac. He is in semi-conscious condition in the critical care unit at Methodist Hospital. He has a basal skull fracture. Both arms are broken and both hands are broken. And they're continuing to watch Mac very, very closely. So our prayers and hopes are with Mac McClellan in his recuperation from those injuries last night at a USAC midget race at IRP.
You can see Davey Allison has built himself a pretty good lead over Ricky Rudd. Alan Kowicki running 3rd.
Kowicki's already moved up to 3rd spot, so it looks like he hasn't lost very much from the race in June 5 weeks ago.
And the King has dropped to 9th. Behind Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Ford number 26 and Sterling Marlin.
As high as Richard is coming off the 3rd corner, the chassis is just not right. You want to keep that car right on the bottom of the racetrack as you come off that corner. And the couple times we've seen Richard as he came off turn 3, he's going too high off the corner. Either the car pushing up there or the back end's loose. He's chasing the back end up there.
Well, Richard Petty would love to win that 201. A lot of fans would love for him to. Also, Kowicki now making the challenge.
For 2nd position. Ricky Rudd has been in 2nd since the green flag dropped, but is now losing it to Alan Kowicki.
Kowicki started 6th here in June. Didn't take him too long to get to the front. And then he dominated after that. And he's headed that way again.
Got a pretty good ways to go to catch Davey Allison. Davey's got about a 2-second lead, it looks like, on Kowicki now. share fourth place car, Mark Martin. And there's back in fifth is Ernie Irvin, who's gotten by Ken Schrader.
Schrader dropping back. Earlier was in third. And then comes Sterling Marlin. 13 laps completed now. We've been green all the way. And Davey Allison has led all the way with about a 2-second advantage now on Alan Kulwicki. More of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 after this.
How to live like a mountain man. A true mountain man lives a solitary life, living for nothing more than an honest day's work and the rugged companionship of his fellow mountain men. It's a full-time job, but it does have its rewards, like smooth bush beer and easy drinking bush light. So, head for the mountains. Because once a mountain man has his mountains, what more could he possibly want?
And isn't it true that this auto part did, in fact, come from the defendant's car?
Objection. Prosecution is leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
This part most definitely came from that car.
And how can you be sure?
I work for Napa Auto Parts. It's my job to be sure.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Napa people are parts experts, so they can answer any question, whatever the case may be.
One swing. Win in the Subway Grand Slam Challenge. Each home run on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball means a fan who names the hitter wins cash. A Grand Slam wins $50,000. Call 1-900-737-ESPN. 95 cents a call. Under 18 needs parent permission. Every home run wins. Grab the favorite meal of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, a sack of subs from Subway. The Cubs and the Pirates meet Sunday night on ESPN.
Davey Allison crosses the stripe and continues to lead the Miller Genuine Draft 500 Winston Cup race from Long Pond, Pennsylvania, Pocono International Raceway. Second place, here comes Alan Kulwicki. Right behind him is Ricky Rudd. Then comes Mark Martin. Taking over sixth position just a few moments ago was Sterling Marlin, as he was able to get by Ken Schrader. The telemetry once again in Mark Martin's machine.
Once again, going down the Long Pond straightaway in third gear. 8,000, 8,200, 8,300, 84, 8,400 RPMs. As he accelerates off this corner, trying to get alongside the Tide Chevrolet. Can't make it because Rudd shifting as well. He has an extra few hundred RPMs.
As you say, they have to decelerate going into this flat third turn.
Hit the brakes just briefly.
Looks like Martin's got a run on Ricky Rudd this time. He'll drop the car in fourth gear about now. He's getting away from Rudd, trying to take away the aerodynamic effect that Rudd would have alongside of him. Slows down to 133, 32, 132 miles per hour down in turn one. From 195 to 132. That's pretty good.
That's why they need to change gears on this racetrack, is because of the number of RPMs that they lose in the turns if they didn't change gears.
Ford running first, second, and third right now. Allison, Kulwicki, and Mark Martin. And Martin is definitely closing in on Kulwicki.
Well, Kulwicki caught that slow car. I think it was Andy Belmont or Mike Potter going in that corner, had to slow down because of it. It's a one-groove corner. You just can't go through there side by side. He slowed down and allowed these fellas to catch up to him. Remember the last time when he passed James Hilton? Kulwicki passed James Hilton in that tunnel corner, almost lost the race because of it. I'm sure he was thinking the same thing when he went in that corner that time.
He's about 5 seconds behind Davey Allison right now. Alan Kulwicki is.
Man, Davey don't want to play with these guys, does he, Ned?
No, he just wants to get out there and run by himself.
He's got his toys and going home.
Sterling Marlin may have one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He's moved up steadily and now runs right behind Ernie Irvin.
Started 14th and now in 6th position.
Talked to Junior Johnson on Friday, and he was so proud of the job that Sterling Marlin did out in Washington last week. They took both cars out there. Bill and Sterling went to some 500-lap race, and he said it's probably the best race that Sterling Marlin has ever run in his life.
Reports were that Sterling got a little confused, though, as to who was on the lead lap because he apparently allowed Bill Sedgwick to pass him, thinking that Sedgwick was a lap down. In fact, he was on the lead lap, and that's how Sterling lost the race. Look at this great battle.
Jockeying around. Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, trying to get position.
Mark Martin had lost his momentum a little bit coming off the corner, lost some speed.
Oh, Kowicki's loose.
Must have got a little bit loose. Here comes Sterling Marlin on the inside of him.
Ernie should be loose also as Marlin goes to the inside and picks up the position.
Sterling's car is looking good, man. I haven't seen the thing bobble yet.
Oh, it does look good. Sticking right down on the inside where he needs for it to. Everybody figured that handling would be a key factor here today because it's pretty warm, I guess in the low to mid 80s, and the track will get a little slick as we go along, and handling will become more of a factor as the race goes on.
We can see the car strung out the entire front straightaway here at the Pocono International Raceway.
Turn number 1 is the steepest banked of all the corners at 14 degrees. They're on the Long Pond straightaway, which is 3,055 feet in length. The corner, turn number 2, the tunnel turn, they are approaching right now as we once again join Mark Martin, is 8 degrees of banking. And the straightaway that connects second and third turns is 1,780 feet in length. And Davey Allison right now is in turn number 3, which is banked at 6 degrees, and Marlin continues to move up.
While all this going on, Bob, James Hilton has taken his Patrol Rumple furniture car to the garage area and out of the race.
And here's Marlin on the inside of Mark Martin, trying to take away the 3rd spot.
Boy, Sterling is very impressive. He's got 3rd.
So Mark Martin slipped the car up in 3rd gear as he went down in turn 1.
Mark now back in 4th. Rudd in 5th.
Going in that tunnel corner, go right up on the tail of Mark Martin's car. That was just trying to get Martin to get in the corner a little bit too deep so he could get under him as it exited turn 2. Didn't work. That's the trouble with this. Most of this stuff don't work with these guys because they're pros.
Davey Allison continues to lead. We've been green all the way. 21 laps completed. We'll be back with more from Pocono International Raceway.
ESPN Home Video presents Bill Elliott Racing into History, the only video that shows you why this man became a racer and how he became a champion. Hosted by ESPN's Benny Parsons, you'll feel the excitement of driving with Bill as he wins NASCAR's biggest prize, the Winston Million. Order your copy for only $19.95. Call 1-800-533-1800. Racing into History lets you enjoy the excitement of driving with Bill again and again. Call today, 1-800-533-1800.
Is she taking medication? No.
I'm getting a line going. Stand back.
The Emergency Medical Services. Aren't you glad they're there? A public service message from Quantum Chemical Corporation.
Have you seen who's been on Speed Week? Speed Week starts off the Thunder every Saturday night. Catch us this week at 7:30 Eastern, live from Portland, side of the G.I. Joe's Camel Grand Prix IMSA race.
You've got the need for Speed Week.
Well, some very peaceful surroundings at Pocono International Raceway. Many, many golf courses and resorts around this area. We're currently looking at Shawnee Golf Course, which is one of 37 in the Pocono Mountains by the Delaware River. This is where Jackie Gleason learned to play golf.
How sweet it is.
That's right. From that rather tranquil and peaceful setting to the roar of racing engines as we are inside the car now of Jimmy Hensley. And again, that number there.
That's
I'm sorry, Bobby Hillen. The Racing for Kids number there, 1-800-800-1865. You can subscribe to Racing for Kids magazine. This is becoming quite popular with children. It teaches them, first of all, how to read, or helps them learn how to read, and it also teaches them about racing and encourages them to stay in school. It's a very neat program, and if you subscribe to the magazine, the donation from each subscription will be made to the Research and Treatment Center for Children with Cancer and Leukemia in Atlanta, Georgia. There's Davey Allison, who continues to lead. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, fellas, when you make a lot of horsepower, one of the downsides is you also burn quite a bit of fuel. And no one really guess here in the Allison pit, so what they're thinking about doing, remember the weather earlier in the week, the fog and the thunder showers, very limited practice, so a lot of the teams did not get an opportunity to do their fuel mileage testing to see how far they could go. And remember, these Robert Yates heads make a lot of horsepower, so they are planning on coming in extra early for their first stop. Just a moment ago, a conversation between Davey Allison and Larry McReynolds. They are planning on making their first pit stop around lap 29 or 30, which may be about 10 laps early. He said, why gamble? We've got a great race car. Let's not run out of fuel here when we can wait late in the day and be effective.
And that's only about 4 or 5 laps from right now as 25 are complete.
Now, that's a good strategy. You can make a pit stop if you make a good pit stop here and even change 4 tires and still stay in the lead lap. If you're up there among the leads, of course, Davey Allison is about 5 seconds ahead of everybody else, so he should be able to do it easy. And then even if the caution should come out, it wouldn't hurt you that much.
Davey hasn't had anyone to race with all day. He was on the pole at the drop of the green flag, jumped out in front, and has been there every lap so far. As Bob said, through lap 26, he's not looked back.
Built himself about a 5.5 second lead.
He is still running in second. There's the leader. And we'll show you the interval between first and second position. Here, Allen just went through the frame. Here comes Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd, who continue to run nose to tail.
And Sterling Marlin was so fast, he went through our camera shot without even being recognized.
Bobby Hillen involved in a battle with Andy Belmont. This is for the 33rd position.
Andy Belmont trying to make his way into Winston Cup racing with sponsorship this year from FDP Brakes.
Team Ireland car driven by Bobby Hillen. Number 31, there's Andy Belmont.
Camera looking back at Belmont from Bobby Hillen's car. We see that on the right it says Ireland. The owner of the car is from the country Ireland, isn't he, Bob? That's where it's called Team Ireland.
Right. He is now. He's a businessman in London, England now, but Martin Bahrain is originally from Ireland.
Big race car.
Wanted to drive.
There's Davey. We're anticipating a pit stop now within the next 2 or 3 laps.
All the way back to there is second place car of Alan Kulwicki. There goes Kulwicki. Sterling Marlin. He is almost caught Alan Kulwicki.
He is gaining.
A couple of car links.
So it looks like that maybe Sterling Marlin and Davey Allison would be about the same speed, Ned. Would you venture that far?
We might speculate to say that. I haven't put a clock on it yet, but Sterling certainly has come up through the pack. Here's Darrell Walter making the move. Darrell had dropped back to about 17th or something, and now he has moved back up, just took over the 9th position, so he got revitalized there. Car might have been pushing a little bit in the early part, and now that the tires are heated up, it's worked in his favor.
Schrader back in 10th.
Rich is still hanging in. What's that, 11th spot, 12th?
Greg Sachs right behind him.
And Jeff Bodine has made his way up behind, joined this group. Rusty Wallace, the black and gold number 2. He won this race last year. Remember the rain delay we had here? Rusty Wallace declared the victor.
And that was the last time that a Pontiac has won in Winston Cup competition.
Richards He's losing another spot. Greg Sachs on the inside.
And the train might go by him here if he isn't careful. There's 4 cars that want to line up and go around him, taking advantage of it. They shouldn't do that.
Jeff Bodine, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Jarrett.
Greg Sachs moved over quickly and allowed Richard to get a draft off him. I don't know if it's going to be enough or not. Doesn't look like it is.
Bodine's going to get him. Here's Rusty on the inside going into turn 1. Ooh, they touch a little bit.
And Richard just can't get the momentum off that corner up high to race these fellas.
Still anticipating a pit stop by Davey Allison. He's completed 29 laps, so he is at the outside of the envelope that Jerry Punch told us about. And it appears that, yes, indeed, he is slowing down and entering the pits. For the first time, first scheduled stop, 30 laps complete. Davey Allison makes a pit stop. Here's Jerry Punch.
And remember, last month it was a miscue, only a miscue, but the car falling off the jack here in the pits that cost Davey a shot at victory in that Pocono 500 back in June. He ended up finishing in 5th spot, but they bit the left side door. Here's the Haviland Ford coming to a halt. Crew members, 7 only allowed over the wall. They will change all 4 tires. Leave no stone unturned. Fresh rubber all the way around, fresh Goodyear Eagle radials. They will fill it up with fuel. Very deliberate pit work. And believe me, these guys have thought about that pit stop a month ago, and they want to redeem themselves here at Pocono. Car number 25 also in. Ken Schrader, is he getting tired? Goes on pit road. Davey Allison down and away on the jack. Meanwhile, they have changed right side tires on Schrader's car. They go around the left side. As Allison pulls back to turn 1, left side tires going on the Kodiak Chevrolet of Kenny Schrader as the first of the 2 Hendrick Motorsports cars makes an entry on the pit road here on lap 30.
Rusty Wallace also in. He's out ahead of Schrader. And finally, they get the work done on Ken Schrader's car. That was a little lengthier than the rest.
Yes, it was at the pit stop. Here comes Sterling Marlin in.
And Ken Schrader's going to get lapped by Alan Kowicki if he isn't careful as we watch Sterling Marlin coming down pit road.
Kyle Petty is in, so is Dick Trickle, Greg Sachs. Many making pit stops now.
There we see Kowicki. He is in fact a lap ahead of Schrader, but the new tires ought to make a difference.
Yes, it should. He should be able to run through the corners a little bit faster. He got back in the lead lap. Well, pit road is busy right now. Let's go back to the pits.
Dale Earnhardt in. That's Greg Sachs who's up on the jack, the Kellogg's Cornflakes car. Here comes Sterling Marlin out of the pits. So Davey Allison making his pit stop started a rash of stops.
Sure did. Here comes Kyle Petty, Greg Sachs. Michael Waltrip's Pennzoil Pontiac is getting serviced. Changing left side tires on that car. Earnhardt is down off the jacks. They're still working, however, on the left side of it. Michael pulls out. Hut Strickland also does. Continuing to work on Dale Earnhardt's car. The extreme right side of your screen. Now the work is completed, and he is pulling out very slowly.
One problem that these overdrive transmissions create is enough first gear to leave the pits. These fellows are really struggling to get these cars moving. They only have 4 forward gears. So they got to give up something for this overdrive. And what they're giving up is a gear to get them out of the pits.
Jeff Bodine is in this time. So is his brother Brett Bodine and Derek Coach.
Ernie Irvin has not made a pit stop.
Neither has Alan Kowicki, has he?
Haven't seen him in.
I believe so. He would be due to come in here before too long.
No, there he goes. He's still on the racetrack.
Rudd is coming in.
Yep. He was running in 3rd place.
Now Irv is coming in. John Kernan will call the stop as Ernie enters pit road.
Tony Glover and the crew waiting Ernie's arrival. They will change 4 tires, also a full load of fuel. Talking with Tony Glover, while some of the teams had a problem being loose or tight, said Ernie pretty much has got the car the way he likes it. They will go to work on the right side. Lundgren's coming off on the left side, wiping off the windshield. Looking for a pretty good pit stop right here. Remember, these guys also had a chance to win the race last month, but they dropped the valve. Dale Jarrett also in on pit road for a 4-tire change. Left side's now going on the Ernie Irvin car. Ernie's work is finished. The work continuing as they swing around. Jack going under the left side of Dale Jarrett's car. Another 4-tire change. Jimmy Maycar and the crew. Dale gunning the engine. He is down and away.
And again, a lot of activity on pit road as Alan Kowicki, who was leading, relinquishes that spot to make his first pit stop. Jerry, he's headed toward you.
And And the scheduled stop for our leader, Alan Kulwicki, as Morgan Shepherd has just exited. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd just pitted moments ago for a 4-tire change. And Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford will come down pit road. Mark Martin inside the in-car coming down. But here's Alan Kulwicki, our leader, bringing the Hooters for Thunderbird. It will be a routine 4-tire change. Paul Andrews in the crew, Danny Glad. Andrews taking the left side lug nuts off. They have 1 can of fuel in. 7 on the top of your screen, 6 on the bottom. That's Mark Martin as you watch 2 Ford teams now changing tires. Left side tires going on Kulwicki's car. Meanwhile, they are putting left side tires down on the Valvoline Ford. Kulwicki's car down and away while they are still working on Mark Martin's car, getting the left side lug nuts tight. Martin is off the jack, and he will head back to turn 1.
And Mark Martin's teammate Wally Donovan Jr. also in for a pit stop as Mark pulls back out onto the racetrack and gathers up speed.
I don't believe even Darrell Walker has been in the pits. Walker usually goes 10 laps further than anyone else.
So we've seen the first series of pit stops completed. 34 laps have been completed out of 200 in the Miller Genuine Draft 500.
Al Unser Jr. knows what it's like to win the Indianapolis 500 with 0.04 of a second to spare. Mark Martin knows if he lets someone cross his wake at 200 miles per hour, his car may be doing the lambada. And Joe Amato knows that at 296 miles per hour, he must pull his chute at precisely the right moment to keep from becoming an astronaut. Apparently, it is what you know.
Richard Petty, the only driver ever to win 200 Winston Cup races, all on champion spark plugs.
Jerry, your help out here really does make a difference in the way I run.
Well, Richard, this is our testing ground. It makes a difference in the way we build our spark plugs, too.
They work for me in both my cars, whether I'm racing or going home. I depend on champion spark plugs.
For more racing action, be sure to watch the Champion Spark Plug 400 on August 16th.
There's no guarantee that what goes up must come down, that it takes 2 to tango, or that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But there's one guarantee you can always count on, the new McDonald's guarantee. Our promise of hot food, fast, friendly service, and drive-through orders double-checked to be right. If not, we'll make it right, or your next meal is on us. What you want is what you get. Some things in life are guaranteed.
Well, just about everyone has made their first pit stop except this man, Bill Elliott, the Budweiser Ford. He has not made the pit stop and is leading at the moment. Well, here's what's coming up later this afternoon and tonight here on ESPN. All times are Eastern, 4:30 after our show here this afternoon at Pocono. It's Glory Days. The Tour de France coverage continues at 5. The Bud Regatta Hydroplanes at 6 o'clock. Sports Center at 6:30. Baseball tonight at 7. The Cubs and Pirates square off at 8 o'clock tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. And then a whole wrap-up of the Sports Center activities at 11 o'clock. John Kernan is in Bill Elliott's pit as he comes in and becomes the last to make the first pit stop.
Well, you recall last month that doing this, outrunning the other teams by a few laps on gas mileage, had put Bill Elliott in a position to win that race had they not had a caution light. If it had stayed green, he would not have had to make a final pit stop. But now Bill is also trying to stretch it. Let's just listen into the sounds of a pit stop in action. Bill cuts the engine 23.1 seconds, a little bit slow, and then he killed it as it go out, but they finally did get the car going. Jerry?
You know, Bill Elliott qualified with a Robert Yates head engine earlier in the week, but they were so concerned about not getting as good a fuel mileage with all that extra horsepower than the Robert Yates engine, they took it out and put a Jeff Wilson engine in the car, in the Budweiser Ford, because Tim Brewer said we want to get better fuel mileage. We could go maybe 41 laps if we had to today with our engine in the car. But then this morning, they had a problem with that engine. They had a rocker arm adjustment that wouldn't work, so they had to pull that engine out and go back to the truck. And the only engine they had left on the truck was the engine they had practiced with at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a 2.5 mile track. They said, hey, this is 2.5 miles. That's 2.5 miles. It ought to work. That's what they put in the car.
A little bit different configuration, but at least the same length. Bill Elliott, 46 points behind Davey Allison in the quest for the Winston Cup standings, entering the Miller Genuine Draft 500. And there is the leader of the race and the leader of the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings. Once again, today's race race includes the Gillette Halfway Challenge contest, $10,000 to the driver leading the halfway lap, and a lucky fan at home could win a new Chevrolet Lumina Z34. If you've entered the contest for this race and your entry is selected and you're called at home, you must name the driver who won the Gillette Halfway Challenge to win the Chevrolet Lumina. Now, if you want to enter the contest for the Budweiser at the Glen on August 9th, write to Gillette Halfway Challenge, Post Office Box 2246, St. Petersburg, Florida, zip code 337312246. You have to be 18 or older to enter, and we must receive your entry by Saturday, August the 8th to be eligible for the Halfway Challenge at the Budweiser at the Glen, August 9th at Watkins Glen, New York.
Guys, what did that boy do? He made a play on the pit stop. For one thing, Kyle Petty is up now in the 4th position. Made a very good pit stop, and that's what has put him up there. Man, Sterling Marlin made an awfully good pit stop, too, as we look out.
Riding with Mark Martin, who is in 6th, and in 5th up ahead is Irvin. There he is on the right. In the middle is Kyle Petty and Alan Kowicki.
I wonder if he changed 2 or 4 tires.
I don't know. I kind of get the feeling he changed 2, but I don't know.
I think he changed 4. I don't know.
I did notice, though, that car was in for a very short time. They did a heck of a job if they put 4 tires on it.
They have made some awful pit stops this year. Sterling Marlin made a very good pit stop as well. He was running 3rd when he came in. He's running in 2nd place now, only about 3 seconds behind Davey Allison. Allison is 5 seconds ahead of Alan Kowicki for the pit stops.
Here's another Autolite field summary for you. How they were running last time around.
Tell you what, Kyle Petty's got his Pontiac running. He's the first GM car, I think. He's got 3 4s and then Kyle Petty.
Right, yeah.
He really was running. We hadn't paid that much attention to him, but he was running good. He dropped back a little bit there at the beginning of the race, and then he just steadily picked him up. Went up to pass his dad when Richard was running in about 9th place, and drove on off from him and caught Schrader and some of those others that were up there in the 5th, 6th, and 7th spots.
Jerry mentioned a little bit ago the tire test at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I think among many, many other things, that's one of the things I'll remember most is the way Kyle Petty conducted himself. He was like a kid in a candy store with his home VCR, and he was just great.
There's Davey Allison. Our leader still leading.
Ahead of him is the 66 car. Jimmy Hensley, he's running in 31st position.
So that means there's 31 cars on the lead lap.
Yep. And we'll go inside and ride with the Phillips 66 in-car camera.
Coming off the flat corner, flat turn 3, starting down the front straightaway. We see he's in 4th gear. Remember, Martin is in 3rd gear when he comes off that corner. So once again, Hensley not shifting.
One of his crew members at the airport on Thursday when we were coming in here, I asked that question. They said, no, he did not plan to shift. The race here in June was the first one at this track for Jimmy Hensley. He had raced on the 3/4-mile track here, but had not run in the Winston Cup race on the 2.5-mile track. And they said that he felt he needed a little more experience on this track because shifting does take a little bit away from your concentration of other things on this racetrack.
We can see there was 300 or 400 RPMs difference between the long straightaway and this long pond straightaway, or the shortest, not the shortest straightaway, but the back straightaway. And that's what they're trying to do is get those numbers even. They want to turn 8,400 down the front, 8,400 down the back.
He was up to about 86 just briefly on the front stretch. You can see well below that on the other straightaways. Now there's the interval between Jimmy and the leader, so that's how much distance there is before Jimmy gets lapped.
Here we see Sterling Marlin, Alan Kowicki, Kyle Petty. Jerry Punch, you got a comment on Kyle Petty?
Well, Benny, you wonder why Kyle's in the top 5? You got to give a call to Robin Pendleton and this mellow yellow crew. Kyle came in, changed 4 tires, added 2 cans of fuel in 20 and 900ths of a second. That's quick, guys.
Well, there's the answer to our question, and my apologies for saying that, or at least thinking that crew couldn't change 4 tires in the amount of time he was in. They did, and they did a great job as Kyle Petty is in 4th position with 43 laps. A record crowd on hand here at Pocono, enjoying a Sunday afternoon of stock car racing.
If you can't wait, you need the News Weekly of Motoring, Auto Week. If you can't wait for driving impressions, get Auto Week. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them first. If you can't wait for car news, get Auto Week. Auto Week covers it all. The great old cars, the auto shows. Auto Week's columnists are controversial and fast. And if you can't wait for racing news, get the News Weekly of Motoring. Auto Week races to bring you the winningest coverage first. If you can't wait, get Auto Week, the News Weekly of Motoring, now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for a full year. 52 issues at the special TV price of $19.95. Just 38 cents an issue. Save $80 off the cover price. You've thought about it. Stop waiting. Do it now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for the News Weekly of Motoring.
Can you handle the August heat of ESPN? Sizzling sports in August on ESPN.
Back at the Miller Genuine Draft 500 from Long Pond, Pennsylvania and Pocono International Raceway. We're on top of Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford. He runs in 6th position. Now we go inside the car, driven by Bobby Hillen, who currently finds himself in 32nd position, 1 lap down. And still remaining on the lead lap, although he is the last car on the lead lap, another in-car camera carried by Jimmy Hinson. He's 31st.
190 miles an hour he's going to get up to before he has to stop and go left. Man.
Now we'll show the interval again between Jimmy and the leader of the race, Davey Allison. Got what, about a 4.5 second lead, Ned, on the rest?
Yes, it's moved almost to 5 seconds now. After the pit stop, Sterling Marlin was within about 3 seconds of him, but Davey has pulled away a little bit now, almost 5 seconds.
Except for pit stops, Davey has led all the way so far. And we're approaching the 50 lap or 1/4 mark.
David brings that car down the inside. Car looks to be handling beautifully.
A Big A Auto Parts on-track interval comparing the laps of Davey Allison, the leader, and Alan Kulwicki, who is in 3rd position. And
Kulwicki's gaining.
Yeah, he is about almost a second and a half.
So he lost laps. Kulwicki must have lost 3 or 4 seconds on the pit stop because he went in the pits about 5 seconds behind Allison and evidently came out about 8 seconds behind him. So now he's back to 5.5. So Kulwicki may be the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
He certainly is moving up on the rear bumper of Sterling Marlin.
Here is, that's Mike Potter he just went by. Now Sterling Marlin's caught on the outside of that slower car and it's going to give Kulwicki a huge jump on him. Comes Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty currently running 4th.
Here's Kulwicki on the inside trying to take away the spot. Can he? Did he?
Will he?
Will he?
No. Didn't quite get the job done as Marlin holds on to 2nd.
Who's that red car? Is that?
It's Jimmy Horton in the active racing car.
Now he's going to look to the inside and maybe do it again as they enter the tunnel turn off the Long Pond straightaway. This time Kulwicki is going to pass Sterling Marlin and take over 2nd spot. He did that with authority.
He sure did. He's like a little train. He said, I thought I could. Ooh. Got the car out of shape or something because Sterling thought he was going to dodge him. He moved up high against the wall. Sterling seems to be coming off turn 3, as well as Kulwicki.
That time by, Davey was about 4 4/10 seconds ahead of Alan Kulwicki. Now that he has moved into second, we'll see if he can continue to close in.
Kyle Petty passing a slower car and now closing in on Sterling.
These cars exit turn 2. Going down what's called the Long Pond Straightaway. That's the name of the village that the racetrack is located in. Must be a population of about 35.
You won here in 77, didn't you, Benny?
Well, beat Richard Petty, if I'm not mistaken.
If you hadn't done that, he'd already have 201.
Yeah, Penny. Why'd you do that for?
It's my fault, wasn't it? Sterling is really getting to it. And look, he's on the inside of Kulwicki. Man. Now, who's going to outrun who down the straightaway? Kulwicki pulls in behind it. Looks like he's
content for the moment.
Content for the, well, he's not content, but he doesn't have much choice. It doesn't look like.
Yep. And there is Kyle, who isn't too far behind in 4th. There he is. And then Ernie Irvin.
Yeah, Ernie's still lurking back there. We can't forget him, I don't think. He is definitely in the hunt. Good look at the mellow yellow Pontiac.
There's Ernie in 5th. Winner at Daytona. A couple of weeks ago that we covered for you, the Pepsi 400.
He's 5th place car. And there is the 6th place car. Car number 6 is running 6th.
Mark Martin. Go inside and look at the Ford telemetry once again.
82, 83, 84. 8,400 RPMs, about 190 miles per hour. Right down next to the grass, up on that concrete curbing. Accelerating down the back in 3rd gear, which is 1-to-1. Direct drive from the engine back to the rear end.
And again, it's about 8,400 RPM.
That's what they're trying to do, is get that number to be the same.
Now, folks, if you have a 4-speed transmission in your car, when you get it in 4th gear, it is 1-to-1 drive. Now, they've changed the gears on these so that it's different. It's 1-to-1 on the 3rd gear.
That's explaining it in terms that even I can understand, Ed. And here's Jimmy Hensley once again, the Phillips 66 in-car camera. We'll take a look at the telemetry on him. Now, Davey Allison, the leader, is passing on the left.
Yep, there goes Davey.
And so Jimmy's a lap down.
Still in 31st.
But we can see that 4th gear indicator never leaves. And Davey pulls away. There we see Hensley, about 8,100 RPMs. He needs to be turning about 84 if he's to accelerate off this corner the proper way. Also, this flat corner. So he only gets up to about 7,600 there. Now then, he's going to have trouble accelerating off this corner with the guys that are shifting, like Davey Allison. Shifting, that's the buzzword.
Shifting at or a triangle, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, Pocono, that's all that needs to be said. There's the interval between 1st and 2nd. There's Davey, and coming back here in 2nd and 3rd, the battle continues between Sterling Marlin and Alan Kulwicki, who won here just a few weeks ago. We'll continue with our live coverage after this.
Look for the sign.
Top of the line parts.
The red, blue, and white.
Expert advice.
It's a good sign.
Your Big A Auto Parts store.
Keeps your car running right.
Where the pros go for auto parts.
Big A. The sign that keeps your car running right.
Someone to depend on when you need to depend on your car.
Mark and my relationship goes way past business. I'm sure in a previous life he and I were twin brothers. Throughout the race, the driver and crew chief communicate. The driver complains about the car or brags about the car. It's the crew chief's job on pit stops to make whatever fixes he can to help the driver's predicament. Everyone has about the same access to equipment and technology, but the people who rub on it the most and think the most of it and think about it the most will end up winning the race.
Without you, they'd never make it down this mountain. Horses don't show much appreciation, but a job well done still has its rewards.
Everyone talks about how racing technology makes their street cars better. What they fail to say is whose race technology has won more than anyone else. Chevrolet. The cars more people depend on.
Back at Pocono, this is the bumper cam from Jimmy Hensley's car looking back on Davey Allison. Now, what's wrong with this picture? Remember, just before we went to break, Davey had passed Jimmy and put a lap on him. Well, Jimmy has, well, now Hensley slows. And I don't know what happened to Davey, but he slowed there a lap ago.
I didn't see it. I would just speculate that he got the car sideways loose over the tunnel corner and lost 2 or 3 seconds.
We thought maybe he lost a cylinder, but it didn't look like it. How about it, Jerry?
No, it's not a cylinder problem. Davey just commented that apparently one of the slow cars was playing Russian roulette there in turn 3, and he tried to go high, then tried to go low, and he nearly got the car out of shape. So your speculation was right. But a minute ago, Davey did talk to his crew members and said, I think we may have lost the rubber in the right rear, but the car's getting a little bit tight. Larry McReynolds countered and said, no, if we lost that rubber in the right rear, the car would be very, very tight. So I think we're okay. We'll fix it on the next pit stop.
So everything is okay with Davey then, as he tries to win this race from the pole position and pick up $15,200 in Unocal bonus money. But only 3 races here at this facility have ever been won from the pole.
He lost about half his lead.
Here's Derek Cope, Ken Schrader.
There's Schrader behind Ted Musgrave.
Yeah.
Well, Schrader lost, we saw him lose some extra time in the pits, but he also has been losing some time on the racetrack. The car's just not handling with his set of tires on, and he continues to go back. There's Lake Speed coming into the picture. Good to see Lake here racing again.
The Purex sponsorship, and is in the number 83.
And it's a Ford. First time Lake has run a Ford, maybe ever. I don't know. He might have driven. Well, I know he did. He drove for Cale Yarborough, but that was a Pontiac back then, so I don't know.
Musgrave's coming off that third corner well earlier.
Alongside Derek Cope, the Pure Leader Chevrolet. And looks like he may have that spot. He does have the spot as you go down the front straightaway.
So he goes into 16th. Derek Cope in 17th. Schrader in 18th. And Lake Speed in 19th. Again, we mentioned at Daytona, but Musgrave is among those apparently in line for the Richard Petty seat when Richard gives it up at the end of the year. And Chuck Spicer from STP tells me that the announcement on Richard's replacement could come in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be anxious to find out who's going to be.
There's Lake Speed trying to get on the inside of Schrader. I don't think he makes it. Now, does Schrader know he didn't make it? Yeah.
Lake's having a good run. He has Robert Yates' engine in that car, so.
He started 31st, Lake Speed did, and is up to 19th.
What is Purex? Is that a laundry detergent? You see, I don't do laundry. Davey Allison, look back the car still running okay, but I tell you what, looks to me like that the 22 and 7 is gaining on Davey. I don't know. We'll have to.
Well, I'm sure Davey lost a couple of seconds at least when he slowed there a little bit earlier. And so, yes, they are much closer now than they were before.
Yeah, and
I'll put my trusty stopwatch on as we cross the start finish line. Sterling Marlin, yes, is within 1 and 6,500 seconds.
So about a second and a half behind Davey Allison. So, woo.
And Kulwicki third in the Winston Cup points, 134 behind. So do you think that you have to have this race this weekend to close on Davey and Bill first and second in points?
Not necessarily. I think everybody says we got to do good now. I mean, right now we got to pick up points. Well, I've been through championship battles at smaller levels of racing, and before it's all over, everybody's going to have 2 or 3 problems the remainder of this year, I think. So it doesn't have to be this week, and I think you just put undue pressure on yourself trying to do that. I think you just got to be consistent and, you know, just be there at the end of the season.
Did you notice behind Alan on that comment how foggy it was? That was shot on Friday, and I'm telling you, the visibility was just a little more than 0.
Zipperoo.
Fellas, we're going to have pit stops coming up again here very shortly. We're on lap 60, and Davey Allison pitted on lap 30 before, so he's already gone as much this time as he did before. How about it, Jerry? Will he be able to go farther this time? Or?
Well, by calculations, they told me they would pit on lap 64, but calculations sometimes don't mean a thing when you look down and see that fuel pressure gauge fluctuating, as Davey Allison did last time by in turn 1. And Robert Yates told me, he said, subsequently, we're going to bring him in next time by. So they are on the wall with tires and the air hoses getting ready to bring our leader into Haviland Ford down pit road.
Well, he's currently coming off turn number 2, the tunnel turn, and headed down the back stretch, 1,780 feet long, passing the number 27 car driven by Bob Schacht.
That's the Lenro car, local guys.
Now he's in the 3rd turn, and he is slowing, braking, and headed for pit road. Indeed, Davey Allison, the leader, coming in on lap number 61. Jerry, he's a long way from you. Speed limit being observed here on pit road, but he's headed your way.
At 70 miles an hour, that's all they're going to be allowed to have here, as they are watching and waiting for this pit stop here in the Haviland crew. Crew members now waiting. They're allowed to go over the wall and 1 pit away. It'll be a 4-tire change. They have to make very sure they get it full of fuel. And they are watching now. Robert Yates watching very closely to make sure the team gets the car entirely full of fuel. Right side tires are on. Jacking very deliberately the left side. Remember that miscue back a month ago. Left side tires going on. Lug nuts being tightened. Getting ready to drop the jack. Drop the jack. Here he put it in gear and pull away.
Hear that engine rev up? That's what I was talking about by the problem. Oh, look at there. Bob Schacht has a problem. He's out on the inside. I don't know if that's going to...
Well, he's pulled it off the track. I don't know how far you can get off. Sterling Marlin coming into the pits. Bob Schacht, I don't believe is going to be able to get back around, fellas. It looks like he's back up on the inside of the racetrack now as Sterling Marlin comes in.
Right behind him is Kyle Petty making a pit stop, giving him 4th position.
Lake Speed is in. Mark Martin is coming down pit road. So is Brett Woodine.
Lake Speed is being held by NASCAR for some penalty. I guess going too fast on pit road because...
Now let's watch this 42 crew that did such a great job last time. They're moving rather sharply this time also.
Now that little extra time on the right rear there didn't hurt him because he had another man that's going to take care of the left rear on the other side. Boy, that was a good pit stop.
You see his tire leak.
Jerry, where are you?
Watching Mark Martin's crew do an excellent job. Steve Mills is putting the left side touches on as they change 4 tires in less than 21 and a half seconds. A great stop for the Valvoline crew. They made a major chassis adjustment in the right rear as well.
Mark Martin pulling out. The only car remaining on pit road at the moment is Brett Bodine. And there is obviously some kind of a problem with him. Now he pulls out. As Mark Martin builds up momentum.
Fellas, I lost the 27 car, Bob Schacht. Don't know what happened to him, but he was going very slowly before we started those pit stops, and don't think he made it around to the pits, but maybe he got off the track over there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe pulled off into the grass and is out of harm's way, so there will be no caution.
There's our leader, Alan Kulwicki, the Hooters Ford. This is the tunnel corner. He went, what, 4 or 5 laps more than Davey Allison the last time? So he should be able to go... again, 4 or 5 more laps. There's Schrader coming to pits. Earnhardt's sitting back on the pits.
Michael Waltrip pulling in.
Wrong, that was not Earnhardt. That was Bobby Hillen's car.
Right side rubber going on the Kodiak Chevy driven by Ken Schrader. May be 6 or 7 laps before we see a pit stop by Alan Kulwicki. He leads this NASCAR Winston Cup race from Pocono International Raceway.
Most of our customers come to AutoZone for low prices and for parts they can replace themselves. But many people come because we speak their language. Things like duration and lift and compression ratios, stuff like that. Because a guy who's going to rebuild an engine, he won't buy parts from just anybody. And since AutoZone stocks complete engines, we know what makes them tick inside and out. Sure, we sell our best parts at our best prices every day. But if we know something that's going to help you do the job right, you get that free.
Have you ever had an instant party? It's easy and you don't need balloons. Just stop by Subway and order a sack of different subs. Take them home and slice them up and serve them family style. It's more fun because everyone gets a taste of everything. So if you need to feed 100 people on short notice, if unexpected guests drop by unexpectedly, or you just don't feel like cooking dinner tonight, pick up a sack of subs at Subway. We specialize in solving emergencies with food.
For more information on these and other fine sandwiches, visit the Subway near you.
People don't stay at La Quinta Inns just because of the refreshing swimming pool. However, it does create quite a splash. Call 1-800-531-5900. La Quinta Inns, America's hotel value. This is La Quinta Inn's new money-saving Super Value Rates coupon. If you can't find one, just tell them you saw it on TV. Call La Quinta and ask for the new Super Value Rates from $34.50.
The race against time. 23 days of two-wheel torture. The Tour de France. Don't miss a moment of ESPN's unprecedented coverage, because in the race against time, every second counts.
We are back at Pocono International Raceway, and Ernie Irvin comes in for a pit stop. Here's John Kernan.
Perfect timing for us, Bob Jenkins. The crew goes to work. It will be another 4-tire change. We're not anticipating any chassis adjustment. Once again, Ernie has told Tony Glover's crew chief the car is pretty much the way he likes it. They're riding around, saving themselves, and hoping, well, no, they do make a chassis adjustment on that left side. So a last-minute change strategy right there. Trying to get the car perfect and hang around. A good pit stop, 19.7 seconds for the Kodak crew.
Whoa, man, that was great, wasn't it?
That'll gain you some space on the racetrack.
But all these guys are having so much trouble getting out of the pits. The other engine almost die as they try to leave the pits. Like they're somewhere in the lead. There he is, right in the middle of all those cars. Hutch Strickland, Jeff Bodine, then Alan Kulwicki, the leader, Dick Trickle, Harry Gant, Rusty Wallace.
Now those cars behind him will make pit stops, Denny, so they're a lap down. Of course, when Kulwicki comes into the pits, that'll work out. And there's Trickle with fresh tires on. Look at him just go by. See the difference in the fresh tires. So he doesn't care if the caution comes out now. Neither does Harry Gant, because he's back in the lead lap. Rusty Wallace has made a pit stop as well. So he'd like to get around Allen just in case the caution should come out.
And I'm sure he'll be able to do it as he comes off this corner. Here comes Dale Jerry down the pits. And John Kernan, you're on pit road, aren't you?
You got it, Benny. Where else would I be? Standing down here with Jimmy Makar and the gang is wait, Dale coming in. You know, he wears a different NFL team's helmet every week, the colors, I should say. He's got the Philadelphia Eagles today in honor of the team. This is from not too far from here. It will be a 4-tire change. They're going to work on the right side. Left side was already off on the front. Now they're off on the rear tire. Jack comes around, they swing it, put it underneath. Poetry in motion. They make a chassis adjustment on both sides of the rear end. That's something that you don't see very often. He is full of fuel, and he is down and away, and Alan Kulwicki is in.
Exactly, John. The Hooters Ford Thunderbird comes in here as we are getting ready to post lap number 68. So Kulwicki will get a 4-tire change, but the big differential here is now 8 laps between Kulwicki's pit stop and that of Davey Allison, who had to come in with a fluctuating fuel pressure. Left side tire now going on the Hooters Ford Thunderbird. Kulwicki, a strong run in the early laps here, having won a month ago with this same race car. Great pit stop, 20.8 seconds, a great stop for the Hooters crew.
Yes, indeed, Alan Kulwicki moving back out on the racetrack, but a great pit stop.
Fellas, when this whole settles out after their pit stops, Davey Allison is going to be way ahead of Alan Kwick, and much farther ahead than he was, because Alan, since Davey has on new tires, since he came back out, has been running a lot faster, and it's going to make a great deal of difference out on the racetrack.
And I think Allen's stayed out, what, at least 5, maybe 6 laps longer than Davey, so he had that amount of time to pull ahead. And there is the leader, Davey Allison, as he approaches the car driven by Wally Dallenbach Jr. and attempts to put him a lap down.
I would think that Bill Elliott's still leading this race.
Well, he probably is.
I don't think that.
Okay.
I don't know. Of course, Bill was about 2/3 of a lap down before these pit stops started.
It could be that they've passed Bill Elliott. He, in fact, is not leading.
Yeah, he hasn't pitted. The cars who have pitted, the front runners, are ahead of him because he was so far behind before they started making their pit stops. In fact, he would be lucky staying out there this long to make a pit stop and come back out in the lead lap.
Wow. He's shown in 7th position, Bill Elliott is, and you saw Davey put a lap on Wally Dallenbach Jr., who was in 27th, 26 cars at the moment on the lead lap.
Dallenbach has gotten back.
Yeah, he has. Yep.
Into turn 3. Dallenbach comes off the corner.
And so Davey Allison continues to lead this race. And again, except for pit stops, he has dominated this event. We are live from Pocono, and we'll have more live coverage after this.
At GMC Truck, our only business is trucks, and has been for over 80 years. A dedication to truck strengths and values to keep in mind. Because when you need to haul something, tow something, carry precious cargo, find new trails, or simply ride high and proud, there's nothing quite as strong as a truck. GMC Truck, the strength of experience.
Top-of-the-line parts, expert advice. That's your Big A Auto Parts store.
Big A, the sign that keeps your car running right.
Yeah, the hot new cool rules from Starrett. So functional, so fun, so easy to find. In the hot new colors, you'll really take a shine. To the quality craftsmanship that's really catching on. Catch the new cool rules by Starrett today and finish the job in flying colors.
If where you want to be is on a Kawasaki jet ski watercraft, then head to your nearest dealer for Kawasaki's sizzling summer deals. Factory-to-dealer incentives make this summer the hottest ever to pick up a Kawasaki jet ski watercraft. We're talking up to $400 off on selected models. But you better hurry, as these special incentives are only good for a limited time. Call for the dealer nearest you and dive into the summer with your best deal on the water's best ride.
71 laps completed out of 200 in the Miller Genuine Draft 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. There you can see that Davey Allison has pulled to the inside here on the main straightaway and again attempts to put a lap on Wally Dallenbach Jr. And just ahead of Wally is Dale Earnhardt, and he's in 26th position and threatening to go a lap down. Well, the Pocono International Raceway, it seems, always brings out the stars, and among them, Jerry Punch.
I wish, Bob. Thank you very much. But actually, the man I'm standing with needs no introduction, Ted Lang. We all know him as Isaac, the bartender on the Love Boat. And Ted, welcome to NASCAR Racing. Good to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be here. This is my first race, and I'm in town because I'm doing a play called Driving Miss Daisy over the Pocono Playhouse. And I go to Falmouth next, Falmouth, Massachusetts, with the same place. So I'm getting a day off here, so I get a chance to come out and see what's happening.
Now, you're getting serious. You have the Goodrich shirt on here in the Earnhardt pit. I know you're not allowed to mix drinks here, so what do they have you doing?
Well, I'm supposed to be serving him his drinks when he pulls up, but he's been a little bit too busy for me to actually give him something. So I'm going to wait till the next go-around. When he makes his next pit stop, I'm going to give him a little something stronger than water.
Ah, maybe some Gatorade a la Ted Lang here in the Earnhardt pits, guys.
All right, good to see Ted enjoying some Winston Cup racing. Boy, how many of us grew up watching the Love Boat? Here's Ernie Irvin, and looks like he may have slowed a little bit.
I believe he is slowing. Alan Kwick goes by on the outside. John Kernan, you know anything in that?
Yeah, I just talked to the crew. They say it's the same thing that hit him last month. The valve spring is broken, so he's only running on 7 cylinders right now. Very dejected down here for these guys. Expected to come up here and win this race today, but it doesn't look like they're going to get that opportunity now.
Yep, you will notice that Ernie was in 5th position when we assembled our Auto Light Field summary. However, of course, that was last lap, and he has lost several positions in the lap that he is currently on. Two-time winner in the 92 season, Ernie Irvan, at Sears Point International on the road course and in Daytona. And Davey Allison tries to put a lap on Earnhardt.
Trying his best, but Earnhardt trying his best to stay in front of Davey Allison, because if the caution should come out, he's able to make up that entire 2.5 mile distance.
Fellas, Bill Elliott is finally making his pit stop.
74 laps have been completed, and Bill is in. As we watch the action on the racetrack, there's Bill. And Brewer and the crew going to work on the right side of the car. They'll just change 2 tires and send Bill off. And here is Allison moving to the inside of Dale and putting a lap on him. Uh-oh, look out.
Oh, man, oh, man.
Wow. That's coming close to crashing.
Dale trying to keep off the back of Davey Allison's car, almost crashed himself. We saw Dalton back able to get by. And look, here comes the 22 car and the 42. They're about to run Davey down, looks like, Nick.
Yes, they are. They are definitely gaining. Just gradually pulling up on him. Now, Bill Elliott, as a result of only changing 2 tires, fellas, is going to be able to, as we watch this, he's going to be able to stay in the lead lap. You see Earnhardt come up there and barely touch him. Don't take much when you're in the corner.
Well, he had her sideways, didn't he?
He sure did. Here's Davey on the inside going in this flat corner. And Earnhardt knows he needs to get back down to the inside. He comes back down. He wants to follow Davey, but he goes up and gets almost sideways and just touches Davey a little bit, but he almost crashed himself trying to keep the spinning Davey.
Yep.
Close to that halfway point, right, Bob?
Yeah, we're what? 76, 24 laps away? How about that? A little better. And we are getting closer to the halfway mark. If you've entered the Gillette Halfway Challenge and you're called at home and you can name the driver who wins the Gillette Halfway Challenge award, you will win a new Chevrolet Boot. Runner into the contest for the Budweiser at the Glen on August the 9th. That's our next telecast. All you have to do is write to the Gillette Halfway Challenge, Post Office Box 2246, St. Petersburg, Florida, zip code 33731-2246. You have to be 18 or older to enter, and we must have your entry by Saturday, August the 8th, the day before the race, to be eligible for that Budweiser at the Glen Gillette Halfway Challenge.
Ernie Irvan has pulled his car off the racetrack on the backstretch. In fact, his crew is taking all of his pit equipment to the garage area.
Inside of Bobby Hillen's car, just ahead of him is Terry Labonte. We haven't heard much from him. He's running in 20th position. He started 41st, last on the field because of his engine problem during the only qualifying session.
Well, in the first half of the race, if he can gain 20 spots, if he can do as well the next half, he'll go from 41st to first.
He is on the lead lap. There are 24 cars that are on the lead lap.
The next one, the last one on the lead lap, is Richard Petty.
And Darrell Waltrip and Greg Sachs are in a bit of a battle for 13th spot. Darrell moves inside at the front stretch and takes the position.
They've been running pretty close together almost all day. Greg having a good run here in the Kellogg Cornflake Chevrolet. Belongs to Larry Hendrick of Statesville, North Carolina.
Darrell Waltrip, in his inimitable style, always, it seems, laying back and then charging at the end, has entered victory lane 3 times here at Pocono in the past. He won in 1978, this race in 1981, and the June race in 1991. 3-time winner, Darrell Waltrip.
Tell you what, if Darrell Waltrip's going to win today, he's going to have to have some caution flags because he's about a half straightaway behind the leader, Davey Allison. It might be even more than that behind Davey Allison. and he's going to be unable to make that much up without the aid of a caution flag.
And speaking of Davey, there he is. He is the leader of this race with now 78 laps completed. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon. NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. We'll be right back.
Only 9 men have captured the richest and most grueling prize in the history of racing. Only 9 have charged with the courage to capture the crown. The champions, the heroes of Winston Cup Racing, are presented in the official poster edition of the 20th anniversary of Winston Motorsports. It's an offer unlike any other in the history of the sport. Your commemorative poster edition, beautifully illustrated, spans the entire history of the Winston Cup Championship from Petty in '71 to Earnhardt in '91. Each poster highlights the driver's hard-charging career and comes complete with a gold embossed signature. Serial numbered and registered in your name, each set includes a bonus poster of all 9 champions. To order, call 1-800-621-3100. Your 10-piece commemorative edition is just $59.95 or 3 easy payments of just $21. Fans, call now. 1-800-621-3100.
Winston Cup Racing has been one heck of a ride.
Football is back. The NFL returns to ESPN as the Oilers battle the Cowboys at the American Bowl, live from Tokyo. The Houston Oilers, an explosive offense led by Warren Moon, and a lethal defense ready to drill anyone in their way. The Dallas Cowboys. Emmitt Smith leads the charge for a Lone Star State battle in the land of the rising sun. The Oilers meet the Cowboys Saturday, August 1st, live on ESPN.
A lot of people get away from the city and visit the area of the Poconos during the weekend. This is Lake Harmony, one of the many lakes around the area where there's a lot of boating and other recreational activities for you to enjoy. We're enjoying NASCAR Winston Cup Racing from Long Pond, Pennsylvania, the Miller Genuine Draft 500. And we are nearing the halfway point in 20 more laps. We'll be there. 80 are complete. Davey Allison leads. We'd like to pass along a special get well message to Roger Christman, who is a Pocono Raceway Ambassador Coordinator. He's in the hospital. He's unable to be with us today, but we know he's watching and we wish him well in his recovery. The ambassadors are a group of local professionals who donate their time and their efforts to serve as liaisons with Pocono Raceway sponsors. So, Roger, get well soon. We're thinking of you.
Then I wonder if the fact there's been no caution flags, Davey Allison was sick this week. Did he need a couple of caution flags to get through the day, or you think physically he'll be able to run green flag all day?
I believe he'll be able to run. He told Jerry Punch that he was feeling good and felt like that his problems were behind him, and the car is handling so well. He's not had to fight too much out there. Even a couple of lap cars he's had a little bit of trouble with, but that should make it easier for him. Certainly a caution would have helped.
Yeah, that's right. I just wonder if it's pretty warm out there, and if it's one of the problems he had this week. He spent, what, 2 nights in the hospital down in Charlotte?
Yeah, that's right.
Jerry Punch, what do you think? Is this hot weather going to pose a problem for Davey?
I wouldn't think so, guys. You know, he has been very ill for about 2 weeks. In fact, the illness actually began the morning of the Pepsi 400 in Daytona. He had a severe headache, and the headache just got worse and worse. Went back to the hotel after the race and just didn't have any appetite, couldn't keep anything down, didn't want to take a lot of fluids. He's been fighting a severe headache for a couple of weeks. He finally was hospitalized on Thursday. He spent the better part of 2 days in the hospital in Charlotte after Jerry neurosurgeon. They did a bunch of tests. Davey was concerned, as you heard him say at the top of the show, that maybe when he took that lick at the Winston in Charlotte, maybe he had a smoldering problem, maybe a head injury a la Buddy Baker of a few years ago. Remember, Buddy Baker had the problem we were able to diagnose at Watkins Glen. But everything okay as far as the scans were concerned is there apparently was a viral illness, even some concern that maybe it was Lyme disease or maybe even Rocky Mountain spotted fever. But anyway, Davey should be okay here today.
Well, I think you might call this a dream season for Davey Allison, huh? Started off the year with a win in the Daytona 500, has recorded 4 wins, 10 top 5s. He's led the points all season. He's led more laps than anyone else this year and has led in 12 of the 15 races. So Davey is definitely experiencing a dream season, hoping that he can become the first driver in history to lead the points from beginning to end.
That's a fantastic number. He has led 23% of all the laps so far this year.
Well, a couple of senior citizens here strolling through the Poconos on a Sunday afternoon. Dick Trickle, 9th position, and Harry Gant in 10th.
They're just motoring right along. Both of them. Trickle started in the 20th position. Harry Gant started back in 22nd position. So they've definitely improved their position in the field.
You see that Alan Kulwicki has caught Kyle Petty past him, and that's for the 3rd spot.
Davey is the leader, Sterling Martin the 2nd, then comes Alan and Kyle.
Well, Kulwicki, as we documented, when he stayed out there, lost some time and was probably 6 or 7 seconds behind the leaders when he came back out, but he has continuously caught back up to them now. Of course, his tires are a little bit fresher than Kyle's and a little bit fresher than Sterling Marlin and Davey Allison, so that might help him continue to go on towards the front.
Has there ever been a race at Pocono without a caution? No. The record is 1. That was set in 1978, this race, and Darrell Walter was the winner of that event and set the race record. We have had no cautions so far. Well, they're discussing what about Davey Allison's next pit stop.
What they're trying to do now is figure out how many laps to go to the end of the race and when they need to stop to, to eliminate one pit stop.
Jerry, you down there?
Yeah, we're here, Bob. That's exactly what they're doing, Benny. Is people don't realize, they don't look at when they pitted last. What they do, they take the end of the race, it's lap 200, and they back it in. How many laps they can go and how many stops and what their window is. Because here in the pits, their concern is that they're going to probably give up the halfway maybe at lap 100, but Terry McReynolds said, hey, we want to lead lap 200 and win this thing here and pick up win number 5 for the 1992 season. We are at lap 85, just 15 laps away from the halfway point, and Davey Allison continues to dominate here at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Back to Nick.
Around 1900, GMC Truck built America's first gasoline-powered truck and went on to make trucks our only business. A heritage of trucks that, some say, worked a little harder, lasted a little longer. And that's still true today in a truck that gives you the most standard payload and the strongest resale of any full-size pickup. Sierra, from GMC Truck, more proof of the strength of experience.
What does it take to be a mountain man? Do you need a big horse? Do you need a deep tan? Do you have to have a saddle? Do you have to have the gear? Well, the simple truth is you just gotta have the beer.
Bush beer, an easy drinking Bush Light. Have you got what it takes to be a mountain man?
What does it take to live a mountain man's life? Get smooth Bush beer is a drinking Bush Light.
Pronto Auto Parts. From coast to coast, your local Pronto Auto Parts store features friendly service and quality auto parts at lower prices.
Just a reminder, proper maintenance with AC Delco parts can significantly reduce premature wrinkles. AC Delco, it's like buying time.
When you need to know about auto parts, ask the pro at Pronto.
Hello everyone, I'm Robin Roberts. The Summer Olympics are about to get underway in Barcelona. Before they do, get a preview of the games in a Sports Center special, Seeking Spanish Gold, Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
13 laps away from the halfway point of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Long Pond, Pennsylvania and Pocono International Raceway. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinkin' Bush Light. By GMC Truck, the strength of experience. And by refreshing Lipton iced tea. Share the experience. There's Davey Allison, who is continuing to lead this Miller Genuine Draft 500. Jerry, we talked about pit strategy. What else have you learned?
Well, Davey Allison pitted on lap 30, then again on lap 60. But by calculations, he should be able to go at least 34 laps to make his next pit stop around lap 94. However, when they put fuel in the car, it only takes 19 gallons of the 22-gallon tank. So they told Davey, probably the next couple of 3 laps, you see that fuel light flicker once again. Don't worry about the calculation, just hightail it for pit road.
Well, that's a good suggestion.
See, Michael Waltrip, the Pennzoil Pontiac, has been lapped by Davey Allison. He's in what position?
22nd, so now there are only 21 cars. Late Speed is the next car, and not too far in front of Late Speed is Bill Elliott. Elliott is not far from being lapped down.
Just before we went to commercial break, we saw Davey Allison also put a lap on Richard Petty, who is 23rd. Here's the Napa field summary. Watch for your favorite driver and see where he was running last lap.
Sexton, 15th, was just passed by both Ken Schrader and Dale Jarrett.
There you see what Ned just mentioned, Bill Elliott being in 20th position. Michael, Richard, Dallenbach, Earnhardt, all have fallen a lap down.
Schrader and Jarrett down in turn 1.
This is 15th and 16th.
Now heading up the long pond straightaway.
Lake Speed has taken his Purex car behind the wall. We just barely caught him going behind the wall into the garage area.
I saw him coming down pit road. Thought he was making a routine stop because he stopped earlier last time. But
have a report, Benny, that the engine something happened with it, so it's too bad. He's back here with the Purex sponsorship and hoping to run and get into more races this year.
I'm sure that Robert Yates didn't want to see that because that was his engine. So no one will tell him about it.
And also in the garage area, pulled in a little while ago, was Jerry O'Neill from Auburn, New York, in car number 65, the Aeronet racing car.
Once again, we're watching this battle for 15th, Ken Schrader and Kyle Petty. I mean, Dale Jarrett.
Well, it's about the same color as Kyle Petty's car.
There's Schrader. I talked to him. He said that the Pepsi 400 was no problem at all after the neck surgery. He said no problem at all. That Doc Petty and those people did a great job. And most of his pain is gone that he had in his arms and shoulders.
It's a tough customer.
Oh, yeah.
I know Dr. Petty did a great job, but normally an operation of that sort, you'd be laid up for a while. Not these race drivers.
Let's see, Hut Strickland, Rick Mast, Brett Bodine, and Ted Musgrave.
Musgrave continually coming on up through the field, fellas. They're 13th and 14th. Brett Bodine is dropping back a little bit, while Ted Musgrave is moving up a little bit in the Jasper engine car.
That's a Ford, 2 Fords together. The green one is Brett Bodine.
Couple of more pit stops being made here. Sterling Marlin coming in along with Kyle Petty. So 2 of the top 5 are in for pit stops. John.
Mike Beam just walked by. He said, doggone it. Sterling coming in. They were anticipating coming in about 3 laps, but the fuel light must have flickered. Sterling cuts in on the pit road, as does Kyle Petty. It will be a 4-tire change. They've already got the right sides on. Mike Beam, the crew chief, standing on the pit wall, looking over, directing it on his radio. Left side's going on. You hear the whining of the air wrenches, and Sterling is down and away. Kills it momentarily. He hasn't refired it. The crew has to run out and push the car. They're pushing it down pit road, trying to get him refired. A bad break for Sterling Marlin.
Kyle Petty pulls away, and they're still pushing. I believe he hasn't fired down, does he?
Yeah, it looks like it's moving.
Again, once again, that's a tough get rid of first gear.
Now he's going to go a lap down. Davey Allison going into turn 1 as Sterling tries to get his speed up. He's going to be a lap down.
But Earnhardt has blown up. He came by here the last time then and slowed down. He's going in the pits this time. Well, I'd say he's blown up. He slowed dramatically like he had lost a cylinder. And he's heading for the pits.
Mark Martin is in the pits as well. Bobby Hill.
The
defending Winston Cup champion comes in. Here's Mark Martin's pit stop. Jerry.
It'll be a routine 4-tire stop for Mark Martin as Dale Earnhardt brings a Goodwin Chevrolet down. Martin getting service from the right side, now the left side of the car. Earnhardt's car seems to be running okay. They make no effort to look under the hood of that machine. They will change 4 tires. Looks to be pretty routine for the 5-time Winston Cup champion. Martin's car off the jack and away. Earnhardt's crew now putting left side tires on his car. And the car number 26 also in right side tires for the Brett Bodine and the Quaker State team. Earnhardt's still there, left side looking beneath the car. Now the car killed it. He refires it. The car sputters a little bit, puts it back in gear, and begins to pull away. The Kodiak crew working for Kenny Slater, likewise further up pit road. They're completing service on the Brett Bodine car. And Brett Bodine leaving as he goes down pit road. A little bit of smoke on Brett Bodine's car, but they are waiting here in the Davey Allison pit. He has already run 34 laps, so he should be coming in any time now.
And all this is very interesting because it's occurring right here at the halfway point. And so who's going to win the $10,000?
Alan Kulwicki.
Whoever pits last, which probably will be Kulwicki. John?
Got an update for you on Sterling Marlin. Mike Beam just came by. He says now we've broken a rocker arm. We're running on only 7 cylinders, so more bad luck for Sterling Marlin. Jerry?
Getting set for Davey Allison's pit stop. Davey making an entry on the pit road. Remember, 70 miles an hour, and the crew, every time before a pit stop, they huddle together to make sure everything is done very, very deliberately. No miscues. They know they probably have them covered. They may have, if not the best car in the field, one of the best 2 cars in the field today, as the Texaco Havoline Ford Thunderbird roars to a halt. Again, Davey, he waves off a cool drink, so he's got to be feeling pretty good. They're taking the right side and left side lug nuts off. Just 6 laps shy of the halfway point here in the Military One Draft 500. You hear Davey revving the engine. The crew reminded him a couple of cars have already stalled on pit road. They don't want that to happen to them, and it cost them a shot at victory. Left side tires going on. Lug nuts. He pulled the jack. He revs it. 22 seconds flat, and he is away.
Boy, he made sure he had the revs up before he got the clutch out.
Tell you what, I don't know how that little clutch is standing all that RPMs. I see Ricky Rudd in the pits making a chassis adjustment. Also changed the chassis on Davey Allison's car a little bit that time. That pushing problem that Larry McReynolds was talking about earlier, they tried to correct it with an adjustment that last pit stop.
Alan Kulwicki is the leader of the race, and we are 4 now from that halfway point. We're going to get in a quick commercial break here and come back and see who wins the Gillette Halfway Challenge.
When a muffler goes, some people look for a cheap replacement. They think it costs less. Fact is, they can get a quality Midas muffler starting at $24.95. Fact is, a guaranteed economizer muffler starting at $24.95. Fact is, installed by experts starting at $24.95. So when somebody says they have a cheaper muffler than Midas, they're right. When they say they're better, fact is, they're wrong. Don't believe anybody ever beats Midas.
The technology developed on the track for the awesome 650 horsepower Lumina NASCAR champion goes into cars like this. The 1992 twin dual cam V6 Chevy Lumina Z34. Sorry, decals not included. Chevy Lumina Z34 from the heartbeat of America. And now it's easy to win with a heartbeat.
With each new day, you find a way to be your best.
Gillette Sensor for the closest, safest shave ever.
You know you gotta be a little better than the rest.
Only Gillette Sensor has spring-mounted twin blades that sense and adjust to every detail of every face. Gillette Sensor, when you're the best, there's no feeling like it.
Gillette, the best the man
This is where America gets together. Every weekend throughout America, there is great NASCAR racing.
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Out the back glass of the car driven by Bobby Hillen, and looking back on Dale Jarrett, who currently is running in 7th position.
Jarrett has not made a pit stop yet. Now, Bobby Hillin did make a pit stop a few laps ago.
Now less than 2 laps away from the halfway point. There is Mark Martin. And the roof cam on the Valvoline Ford.
It's Jimmy Horton, the red car, direct in front of Mark Martin. Active Racing.
1 more lap to go before we reach the halfway point, I believe. Yeah, 99 laps are completed. Alan Kulwicki is the leader right now, so next time around he will collect $10,000 if he leads lap number 100. There's Alan. Off of corner number 1 onto Long Pond straightaway. Jerry told you a few minutes ago that Sterling Marlin, or John did, that the locker arm was broken on the 22 car, and Sterling Marlin is continuing to run at a reduced pace out there on the racetrack.
Here comes Kulwicki.
Turn number 3, passing under the starter stand, and cross flags displayed by Doyle Ford indicating 100 laps have been completed, and the leader at the halfway lap is Alan Kulwicki. He takes home the $10,000 Gillette Halfway Challenge Award. Now, if you have entered the contest for today's event and you are called at home in the next few minutes, and you tell them that Alan Kulwicki won the Gillette Halfway Challenge, you will win a Chevrolet Lumina Z34. Don't get on the phone right now. I'm busy because they could be calling you. And now, as you indicated, yeah, they do think more seriously now about the pit stop because he's picked up the $10,000. And now he'll be thinking about coming in. He's waving. There is the 21 car. John, that's Morgan Shepherd, of course.
And Bobby was posted second on the scoreboard. It's a 4-tire change. Right's already on, left's going on. By waiting till lap 100, what they have done, they only need 3 more pit stops. Some of the other guys who've already pitted needed 3 plus a splash. Also, Alan Kulwicki should be coming down soon, and Jerry Punch is there.
Well, Alan Kulwicki now $10,000 richer by virtue of the Gillette Halfway Challenge Award winner by leading at the halfway point. Currently 3rd in the Winston Cup point standings is Hooters Ford Thunderbird coming down pit road, and the Cruise campers across the wall. We would expect to see a routine tire change. Of course, sometimes pit stops aren't routine, as we have seen last month at Pocono. The least little miscue could cost you a shot at victory. Right side tires going on. Seems to be going flawlessly as the crew members come around to the left side. Jack beneath the left side of the car. Left side tires are already off. Fresh still gear rubber going on. 42 and 28, Kyle Petty. As Alan Kulwicki heads to turn 1, they are door to door headed into turn 1.
Yep, this is the battle for the lead, and Davey Allison takes it away from Kyle Petty as Derek Cope and Alan Kulwicki come out.
Kyle Petty had another fantastic pit stop.
He sure did. John Kernan, I think he went to the Bob Jenkins School of Math. He said these guys need 3 more pit stops. John, you only need 2 more pit stops.
Hey, Benny. What? Jenkins gave me his calculator, the solar-powered one that the fans sent him a couple of years ago.
The battery ran down the fog, right, John?
Yeah, it's been so cloudy this weekend that the thing didn't get a charge.
Okay, bud.
Thanks, John. It's nice to know I have company in the subtraction. First and second, Davey Allison, Kyle Petty now at the 202 lap mark. We're at Pocono Raceway for the Miller Genuine Draft 500.
Freedom. It's the spirit which moves the Cutlass Supreme, a car intelligently engineered to free your eyes, your hands, senses. Introducing the new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. The look may change, but the spirit remains the same. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Hi there.
Where'd you guys come from?
Oh, we just kind of blew in.
Cool, clean, refreshing Lipton iced tea. Share the experience.
There's a storm brewing on ESPN. Saturday Night Thunder. ESPN Speed Week rolls in to start off a night of lightning quick action. Then it's the radical and the ruthless. And the rumble-tumble excitement of live USAC midgets and sprints. Saturday Night Thunder strikes again on ESPN.
Richard Petty is in 22nd position as we come back to our live coverage of the Miller Genuine Draft 500. He is one lap down to the leader. How about his record here at Pocono? Well, 29 starts, 2 wins. His last was in June of '76. He has 8 top 5 finishes, and his last top 5 was in June of '83. Didn't take him long to win a race after his association with STP. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
This Richard Petty memory is brought to you by the First Brands Corporation, makers of STP Son of a Gun Protectant. Just days after signing STP sponsorship to his car, Richard Petty would put their name in victory lane. The King would win on the road course at Riverside, despite Mother Nature.
We got real lucky. You know, we just signed with STP, and it was real foggy that day, and you know, they didn't get to run the whole race, but we could see down one of the straightaways, so everybody decided to run. They didn't want to come back, and we got real fortunate and won the race. And you know, in doing that, we got off to a real good start with Andy and with STP, and got off to a real good start in the year too.
If you don't like the looks of your car, shoot it with Son of a Gun from STP. Shoot the dash, seats, tires, and roof. Son of a Gun Protectant. Man, what a difference.
He's Stock Car Racing's all-time winner. He's Stock Car Racing's all-time most popular driver. He's the King, Richard Petty. In this new ESPN home video, The Ride of a Lifetime, Richard Petty and STP, you'll have the chance to come along with me, Dr. Jerry Punch, for a personal visit to Richard's home, and we'll show you classic video footage of Richard's greatest moments. To get your copy, call 1-800-342-3400.
Richard Petty in his final race here at Pocono International Raceway. Jerry?
And Bob, for the fans who were wondering, Ray Pinion, the new president of STP Automotive Division of First Brands Corporation, is here in attendance today. And he told me before the race that STP plans on trying to continue their relationship with Richard Petty next year, although Richard will not be driving the car. He said, in fact, all we need to do is sit down and negotiate. Depending upon who Richard puts in the car, we may have to give a little more money up front, because for the first time ever, Richard will be paying a driver, which he's never had to do in the past. But he said STP plans to be with the King for years to come.
And that's good news. It's good to see STP continuing to be involved in NASCAR Winston Cup racing.
There we see Kowicki just took over the 3rd spot for Mark Martin down the front straightaway.
Davey is the leader, Kyle Petty second, then comes Kowicki and Mark Martin.
Morgan Shepherd is 5th, Ricky Rudd 6th, Jeff Bodine 7th, Bill Elliott still to make a pit stop. He's back up to 8th now. Dick Trickle is 9th, and Harry Dent is 10th.
Here's Ted Musgrave on the inside of Brett Bodine. That's for what? 14th spot. Yep. Jasper engine car in the Quaker State car.
Musgrave into 14th position.
Would you call that Musgrave? Would you call whoever takes over Richard Petty's ride the heir to the throne?
Well, you might, and I'll bet that Ted Musgrave is doing all he can to be impressive and to be a top candidate for that ride.
The guy has been impressive. I don't think he has to do anything else, because the first half of the year has been incredibly impressive.
Ted has had a great season. He is 19th in the point standings. His best finishes, he's recorded 3 8th-place finishes. Start off the season at Daytona, then Charlotte, then at Michigan, but he has been competitive and very, very good at every racetrack.
He says Buddy Perry has helped him a lot since they came on that team.
Right behind Ted is Bodine, the Quaker State Ford.
The thing that Musgrave does for the team is he doesn't tear anything up. You very seldom see the guy crashed or something like that. He seems to have a great feel for a car when he has a problem. He goes to the pits and fixes it. Just very seldom see a torn up race car, so that helps the crew all week. All they've got to do is maintenance work rather than try to fix crashes.
And he knows a lot about a race car, too, because he's built and worked on his own cars for years.
Well, it's about 2 o'clock Eastern time, and if you're just joining us, here's what's happened in the Western Auto Race recap. Davey Allison is the leader and has led 85 of the 105 circuits. We have been green all the way. 19 cars are on the lead lap. We've had 5 leaders and 9 lead changes, and the average speed is a record 151.6 miles an hour. Those drivers that have led include, of course, Allison, also Alan Kowicki, Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, and Sterling Marlin. Those cars that are out of the race include James Hilton, also Jimmy Means, Bob Shack, Ernie Irvin, Jerry O'Neill, and Lake Speed. Also the 85 car of Mike Skinner is out of the race. In the Mechanic of the Year standings, Tim Brewer is on top over Tony Glover, Larry McReynolds, Donnie Richardson, and Steve Meal. Those are the top 5 in the battle for the Mechanic of the Year award presented by Western Auto.
We see Terry Labonte, the Sunoco Chevrolet, going a lap down, almost going a lap down.
He's in 19th position.
That's an Oldsmobile or Chevrolet?
I think it's Chevrolet to me.
These guys that have all these kind of race cars, I can never figure out which car they have. It's like a Chevrolet. You're right, Bob. Maybe pulls on the inside down the front straightaway.
Yeah, he's had those Oldsmobile guys.
Is it?
Yeah.
Maybe we want to give the right people the credit.
That's right. All got it. And everybody before him, he has run a Ford.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably will next week at Talladega.
So the Oldsmobile of Terry Labonte goes a lap down. 18 cars now on the lead lap.